Those who govern us really are asleep at the wheel, aren't they? And they are governing against our interests. Let's speak now to one of my favourite ex-politicians. He's not in the House of Commons anymore, which means he can be honest. It is the formidable ex-Tory MP and now elite-level political commentator, Sir Michael Fabricant. Good morning, Sir Michael, and a Happy New Year.
And a Happy New Year to you, Mark. And I'm wrapped up warm. And one of the things about not being an MP is I don't have to wear a shirt and tie when I am on your show, because I can tell you it's very cold where I am.
Most definitely. Do you remember when your former leader, Mrs. Thatcher, was told about, you know, the pressures of heating your home, and she said, wear socks in bed and a hat?
Well, I'm not wearing a hat, as you can see, but I'm wearing a very, very thick sweater, and that's keeping me warm. And it was very interesting for those who've been watching you, as opposed to just listening to you, to see a picture just now which you showed of Lichfield, where I am not at the moment. I'm actually in the western part of Snowdonia in the national park. My gosh, I live right by that cathedral, but I'm not there at the moment. There's a picture of the cathedral up, if you're watching this on TV. And I live just by the cathedral. But at the moment, as I said, I'm in Wales. And there isn't any snow here because I'm a little bit too close to the sea for the snow to actually have got here. But there are a few. I'm looking now at about 5 very disconsolate sheep who look as if they're colder than I am.
Yes, I will say it's quite amazing that Wales and Scotland seem to have dodged a bullet when it comes to this rather dramatic weather.
Mid Wales got it bad.
Did it?
That I'm right by the coast.
Yeah, Midland and Mid Wales and South Yorkshire seem to be the particularly affected, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Pretty difficult stuff. Storm Goretti, is it an example of Britain's crumbling infrastructure, and is your party that was in power for 14 years therefore partly responsible?
Well, I suppose it is. But on the other hand, you know, do you spend all your money on snowplows for something that happens once every 5 or 6 years? Of course, if you are gullible and believe those people who are saying, you know, there's going to be global warming, there wouldn't be any snow at all. But there is. I guess, you know, you have to sort of, if you're Sweden, when there's snow, you know, 6 months in the year, every year, you invest in loads of snowplows. Mind you, I have to say that when we had a bit of snow here in Wales a few days ago, the snowplows were out. I was quite impressed. That's Snowdonia National Park and Gwynedd for you. So well done them.
Most definitely. Interesting. I got an email from the Daily Sceptic, which is an excellent online newspaper, I think you'll agree, founded by Lord Toby Young, the country's unofficial free speech czar. And the headline in the Daily Sceptic today is "Dramatic fall in global temperatures ignored by narrative-captured mainstream media. Global temperatures and anomalies about global temperatures on both land and sea are dropping like a stone." Net zero, it's an interesting one to debate going forward. Greta Thunberg is very quiet this morning.
Yes, she is, which is very unusual for her, of course, because she's not just concerned about global warming. She's concerned about Gaza. In fact, I'm very surprised she's not in Venezuela. And no doubt we'll be seeing her also with her pug face, because I really can't stand looking at her, although I know there are plenty of people who can't stand looking at me, so there you go. I'm sure we'll be seeing her in Greenland before too long, defending Greenland against an American attack, which I'm sure is not going to happen at all.
Yeah, she's gone very quiet on net zero. Climate change is very last year, isn't it? Front page of the Daily Telegraph, Sir Michael. Rachel Reeves to climb down on pub tax. But this would be a reprieve, I think, for the most distressed businesses. You're looking at around 300 million that will be spared this industry. That's not even going to touch the sides for struggling landlords, is it?
No, and more to the point, you know, it's likely not to actually start to happen until 2029, which happens, of course, to be election year. So I don't think that's going to save many pubs in the meantime. And of course, a city like Lichfield has got lots and lots of restaurants and nightclubs. It's a great place to visit. And I can tell you that they're not going to benefit at all from this. The nighttime economy has been under stress for the last 10 years. But it's now particularly under stress ever since the budget, with 2% added onto employment fees, national insurance, which, of course, these firms have to pick up. And it just is making the nighttime economy, as they call it, unviable. And that's very damaging for cities like Lichfield and other tourist towns.
Most definitely, pubs are struggling, but there aren't the state resources to actually support hospitality. Is that the fault of your lot, who were in power for 14 years, allowed the welfare bill to explode and crash the economy?
Well, well, yeah, you've raised a number of things there, Mark. First of all, the economy crashed for all of 3 weeks and then recovered. And employment continued to go down and growth continued to go up. So that wasn't crashing.
You're right. Unemployment was dropping. Growth grew. We had the highest growth in the G7 in July 2024 at the election. And we had inflation, Michael, of, wait for it, 2%.
That's right. And what do we have now? High inflation, unemployment going up, and growth going down. That's what's crashing the economy. But, you know, the government is going to spend billions of pounds on a scheme for ID cards, which won't even work. I'm all for ID cards if it would work, but it's not going to stop the boats. It's not going to stop people employing illegal immigrants. It's just a complete waste of money, and that money could have been used instead of the £2 billion, the 2%, which it's costing, which doesn't sound much, but believe me, on top of a large wage bill is a huge amount. And that is what is damaging companies which employ a lot of people, and that includes pubs, restaurants, nightclubs, and so on and so forth. And everybody but the poorest pubs and the smallest pubs are not going to benefit at all from what Rachel Reeves has just announced.
Well,
by the way, as you said in your introduction, that is the 12th U-turn on this budget. And that means the budget is unraveling, and that will mean that the pound will fall and inflation will go up still further.
Well, indeed, and every U-turn comes with a bill, and that money will have to come from somewhere. And, you know, it's like getting blood out of a stone, isn't it? You, Michael, very successful former politician and also former entrepreneur, a self-made man, got this message from Sarah in Portsmouth. Good morning, Mark. I totally agree with your last two callers. We run a small business too, a boarding cattery. Now, Sarah said, we used to have 3 staff members, but after COVID, we never re-employed anyone. It's just too expensive for small businesses to have staff, too many outgoings and high running costs. Like your caller, we sometimes wonder why we do it all. Almost no holidays. And at the end of the day, you're taking home a minimum salary. Good thing that we love our job. Thank you for being a voice for small businesses. Appreciate it. Well, Sarah, we are a voice for small businesses. Many people watching and listening to this show, Michael, and they think, I'm a wealth creator. I work hard, 70 hours a week. I take risks. What is the point?
Well, one of the problems, I have to admit, is that there are so few people, not only in the Labour Party, but other parties too, who have actually started a business from scratch. Now, I set up a company with a friend of mine who used to work for the BBC. He was an engineer at the BBC, and I met him because I was a broadcaster there. And we set up a company to build and set up radio and some television stations. And we ended up doing it in 48 different countries all around the world. And we employed several hundred people manufacturing equipment and also going out and installing the equipment in these foreign countries, as well as broadcasters here in the UK. And, you know, cash flow, it's not just profitability, it's cash flow. It's the money coming in and the money going out which determines whether a business is a success or not. And the trouble is that politicians like Rachel Reeves just don't understand that. She doesn't come from a business background. She was employed briefly by the Bank of England before she was told to move on. And you know, that is not the same as actually setting up your own business and having to be conscious about how much is coming in each week and how much is going out to pay for your expenses, including wage bills.
Indeed, it's heartbreaking, isn't it? Let's listen, if we can, Sir Michael, to this voice note from Trish on the subject of business.
I saw this coming with Labour. I sold my company, which employed 8 people, back in January of 2024. And it breaks my heart now to have seen that company go under. 8 good working people who no longer have a job because it's just unsustainable under this government. Absolutely heartbreaking. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Trish, and I wish that you were able to message me under happier circumstances. How about this from Dan?
let's not forget this country only functions down to the hard work of the British taxpayer. Those people that get up in all weathers, in the dark, puts a shift in, pays their taxes. There wouldn't be any welfare without the British taxpayer. So therefore, the Great British slogan should be, work hard and you'll be rewarded. Let's reward these people, like myself, like you, and others that are listening.
That was Dan. Amen to that, Sir Michael.
That's right. And, you know, the problem is that Labour don't realise that it's not their money which they're spending on, like getting rid of the two-child welfare cap. It's your money. It's the taxpayers' money which goes through the government. And if you tax people too much, it's a disincentive. Back in the 70s, when we had a Labour government, there was the brain drain. This was where the most able young people were leaving this country because of high taxation. And we're seeing it all over again. They just haven't learned the lessons of Labour's past. They're doing it again. Our most talented people are leaving the country, or people like many of your callers who are also talented, I might add, are just deciding it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it employing people, and it's just not worth it carrying on.
It's a travesty, it's a race to the bottom, and it doesn't end well. Sir Michael, I do hope when your schedule allows that you'll join us on a regular basis on Talk Breakfast. Really enjoyed that conversation. Sir Michael Fabricant is a former Conservative MP and now media commentator and political broadcaster.